The transition in Syria is set to be high on the agenda of U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken as he makes his 12th visit to the Middle East since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. After touching down in Jordan a little while ago, Blinken is meeting with local officials, including King Abdullah II, in the port city of Aqaba. He'll then fly to Ankara for meetings with Turkish officials on Friday. Blinken has urged an inclusive process to form Syria's next government, and the State Department said he would call for a country that is not a base of terrorism or posing a threat to its neighbours. Talks are also expected to touch on the long-elusive hopes for a deal to end the fighting in Gaza. Well, for more on the situation in Syria, I'm joined by your international affairs editor, Doug Herbert.
Gareth.
Hi, Doug. We have the HTS rebel commander then taking a very firm stance on punishing those who worked in the Assad regime or under him. But how exactly can they go about this? I mean, will these people be tried in some kind of court?
Yeah, we don't know yet is the easy answer, but what we do know is there seems to be taking shape a real debate, a back and forth in society about where you draw the line between bringing to justice, holding to account those who are accused of being part and parcel of Assad's brutal regimes, his crimes, his war crimes, and his abuses in the prisons. Bringing those people to account, especially the high-ranking military and security officers. That's what really the HTS leader, the rebel leaders are saying right now. Drawing the line between that sort of thirst for vengeance, for justice, for accountability, and also these calls on all sides, inside and outside Syria, for something that could be a peaceful, secure transition that leads to something more stable and prosperous for Syria. Too much vengeance and retribution could also be the perfect recipe for more chaos, whipping up tensions on all sides. Not a great thing for transition. We saw a lot of this in Iraq, obviously. Look, what's happening is, on one side, yes, Assad obviously is the top gun, and a lot of people would love to bring him to justice. And in fact, France last year did issue an international arrest warrant for crimes against humanity against Bashar Assad, dating back to investigations for his part in the use of chemical weapons back in 2013. So France issued that arrest warrant, but it's not that it's null and void, it's that there's no way of enforcing it. Bashar Assad's in Moscow. Russia is one of the big protectors of Assad, the one that gave him sanctuary. Both Russia and China happened to veto block resolutions at the UN, which would have referred him to the International Criminal Court. So there's a big debate over that. But even if you don't bring Assad, a lot of human rights organizations cataloging a lot of the abuses of this regime, of the people under Assad, they want to pursue these prosecutions. We've seen cases in Germany and France and the US. Even Canada and the Netherlands brought a case. So that's the space to watch right now, an ongoing, very fascinating debate taking place.
Right, so there's lots of uncertainty then over the future of Syria and this transitional government set to be, as we've been saying, on the agenda for Antony Blinken, who's just arrived in the region for talks as well.
You could say, don't really envy Antony Blinken at this time. He has a real uphill battle. Look, you have Biden with less than 40 days left in office. Trump waiting on the sidelines to step into a global conflict in which he says, let it play itself out. America should have absolutely no role in it. Just let it be. Let Syria fend for itself. But you do have the Biden administration still holding up certain, what they would say are ideals for their hopes for a future Syria. A big part of this visit, he's in Jordan today, Aqaba, Jordan, on the Red Sea. He'll be heading later this Thursday to Turkey for Turks there, with the two big players in the region, really. And he is looking for exactly the things you said. The U.S. is prepared to recognize a post-Assad government in Syria, but it's contingent on some of the things you said. The securing, destroying those chemical stockpiles, respecting the rights of minorities in the country, fundamental human rights, making sure as well that humanitarian aid is facilitated, is led into this country right now, and that it's not used as a base for terrorism. He obviously has his hands full. There's so much volatility in the region. All this stuff is playing out. The U.S. and Turkey are even NATO allies, even shaping up as rivals on the battlefield in their proxies, vying for different scraps of Syria with different agendas, it seems. That's difficult. He'll also be talking about, as if it wasn't enough on his plate already, the elusive hopes for a ceasefire deal in Gaza. We had heard a lot of talk about that. Maybe it would be a second ceasefire in return for exchange of hostages since this war broke out last October 2023. It hasn't happened, and some people say it's even further off now than ever, especially now with Israel distracted, moving some of its troops into what had been a buffer zone on Syrian territory. So a lot of the focus is turned to there, even as airstrikes by Israel continue in Gaza just in the past 24 hours. That's going to be an extremely difficult round of talks. His 12th visit, as he said, to the Mideast region since this war started, and it's not getting easier by the day, if not by the hour.